Uh, the other day, I sort of dropped the title banner for Golden Ridge Ranch, and again, I haven't covered a lot of details on that. That's a future thing, and it's not even going to be the game that launches after Diamond Island. So Golden Ridge Ranch is sometime in the future, but I thought, heck, it's a fun idea, and I'd like to share the idea because I'd like to let people know what we have in store, that I'm not just going to drop one game and say, haha, give me your money, I'm out of here, suckers. That is absolutely the opposite of what I want to do. I want to let people know that I want to be engaged with you guys. I'd like to hear what you think about the story and the lore of the characters, and if there's something funny or quirky, when you post it, it gives me a laugh to see that you guys are enjoying this stuff. But I want to let you know that I'm in it for the long haul. I've written years worth of material for these character arcs, for the lore, and I don't want to just jam it down your throats in one go. I'm going to take this and pace it out in a way that feels rewarding. So I've made a number of games, and it's not all going to be the same genre, and it's not going to be the same play style, because we're all gamers and we all know that's going to get boring, and it will reach a point where the development team will have to try and one-up themselves on everything because, oh, well, we need to be bigger and louder than the last game. And that is not sustainable. And so by focusing on a focused experience with a core idea that makes sense just on its own, and you don't have to try to compete with your previous games in the series, and you can focus on moving in a direction that's still consistent. It feels consistent with the story and the lore and the characters, but you can give players something interesting and a different way to enjoy the whole universe that you set up, then I think that's an interesting way to move forward with this. So that's my goal with Silver Falls. So with Golden Ridge Ranch, I'll go into some details that we haven't brought out yet. It will be a ranch farm simulator, so if you love old games like the Harvest Moon and stuff like that, I grew up playing Harvest Moon, it's going to be that, but set in Silver Falls. There's quite a bit of lore in Silver Falls 3 Down Stars available right now to where you can actually learn a bit about Golden Ridge Ranch. You can learn about some characters related to it and the history of that ranch. The player will not be playing as someone who lives in town, so it's not an established character. The player sort of creates their own character, and they're playing as an out-of-towner that's come in and said, oh, cool, this ranch is really cheap. No one's doing anything with this. I'll buy it, and I'll make it profitable. So your goal with Golden Ridge Ranch, you're an out-of-towner, you've come in to become a rancher, and you're going to make this ranch profitable, and you're going to be raising various crops through the different seasons, and you're going to be raising animals. And on top of that, you'll be forming relationships with the characters in town, so it kind of feels like you yourself have come into Silver Falls, and now you're befriending these people in town, and you're learning more about their lives, and you're building relationships with them, and they're going to help you try to make this ranch profitable. It's going to feature a lot of characters that will be introduced, that have been introduced in 3 Down Stars and will be introduced in other games. It's going to feature a lot of those characters, so you get to see them in different environments, you get to learn more about them, and the game will take place about 2 months after 3 Down Stars. So in terms of story, it's a proper sequel to 3 Down Stars, in that it moves the story forward and you get to see progression of some character arcs. There is no release date for Golden Ridge Ranch. Again, it's not even going to be the game after Diamond Island. Save the video. Okay, I'm just reading this thing on my phone here. Something popped up. And again, because Golden Ridge Ranch focuses on building things, and it's quite resource heavy in terms of the hardware, I cannot promise that it will be a 3DS game. It absolutely will be on the Switch. Again, at that point, it'll be up to you guys to tell me whether or not you want a game like this on the 3DS, because I would like to move forward and sort of push my limits as a developer and see what I can do in terms of providing huge amounts of content in game that make the game worth playing. On the Switch, I will not have those restrictions. I'll be able to push my games a lot further. But we'll see where we are at that point. It'll be up to you guys. You tell me if you want that on the 3DS. If you still want more 3DS games, I will do absolutely everything I can to see if I can get that game working reliably on the 3DS hardware. The direction for Silver Falls moving forward is that I want each game to be so rich with lore and so full of life in terms of the characters and their relationships and their history. I want it to feel rewarding to play each game, because you're learning so much about this world and you're learning about these characters, and the more you play, you see, oh, okay, there was a sort of a weird thing that's going on between these two characters, or hey, somebody mentioned something that happened 5 years ago. What the heck was that? and the way that the story and lore um, are expressed in Silver Falls, um, again, I don't want to just jam it all down your throat, and I don't want everything to be in your face. I want the lore and characters to be expressed in such a way that it feels like you have to go and find it yourself. And I want players around the world to be able to come together and say, "Hey, did you notice this detail?" And other players will say, "No, no, no, I didn't. I didn't even get to see that." And so people can put things together, and they'll sort of help figure out what's going on in this world and with these characters. The code linker system that connects all of these games physically is set up to let you see how characters' stories progress over time. So if a game takes place 2 months after Three Down Stars, if it takes place 3 months, if it takes place 6 months, you'll get to see what happens to Holt, Annalise, and Moss. You know, have they grown? Have they changed? You can see what happens to the support characters that are in Three Down Stars and what's going on with their lives, what happened to them. But also, when a game is set in the past, when you use the code linker system to move your characters back into the past, you can see what happened to them at different points in their lives. And I think that's a very interesting way from a writer standpoint to be able to let people explore that character. And because the code linker system, that's something that you have to do manually, it makes it feel like you are exploring that character's lives and you're in charge of what's happening with them. And I think that's a great way to let you explore these characters. And making games in the future and publishing games in the future, I want to let you know that I'm not going to only be doing, huge releases, but you're going to have to wait 2 to 3 years. That I want to steer clear of that. That is absolutely the opposite of my intention. I intend to do big games that have bigger experiences, and in between those big games, I'll be producing a number of smaller games that are still the absolute top quality that I can produce, but those smaller games will probably focus on only 1 or 2 characters at a time. It'll focus on one event on their lives, and it'll focus on a core concept about that character and what makes that character interesting, or some important event that happened in their life. And if I can think of an interesting gameplay concept that I think hasn't been done before, or hasn't been really explored in other games, then that's sort of my goal with these smaller, tight, focused games, and players can explore some sort of quirky idea I had about a gameplay style. And what will stop those games from feeling sort of on their own and secluded, not connected, is the code linker system. So I might make a small game every few months, and you can explore the life of one character that was sort of sitting in the background, and you get to learn more about them. And by taking the bigger game, like Three Down Stars, you use the code linker system, you connect it to the smaller game, and then you can see how characters from that major game tie into the characters from the smaller game, and you can see how their lives intertwine, and you can see how their relationships grow, how those characters affect each other. And from a writer standpoint, I think that's very exciting for me, because then I can say, oh yeah, I can develop these characters, and it's not that they're developing on their own, it's developing because they've interacted with Holt, Annalise, and Moss, or these other characters from other games, and all these other smaller games will also tie together. And I think it's in a way where in a year's time, when we have a number of games that are out, some big and some small, it's going to be exciting for players who just come in, a year after the fact, and there's a bunch of games, and they're not going to be, not every game's going to be full price. The smaller games are going to be a smaller price, and it'll be a way to enjoy more of the game in a way that I think hasn't been done before. Personally, now, I want to get on a personal level. I'm really excited to get this concept going. It's something that I haven't seen before, and I think, personally for me, I think, oh man, if that excited, I'd be excited if a game series like that existed. And I'm sitting there thinking, well, I'm saying that I should make it exist, and this excitement that I feel, I can share that with people around the world and other gamers that would enjoy an idea like that. That's why I feel so driven to get this working, even though I have hit road bumps. I'm facing a lot of difficulty, and I'm having to put in some insane hours throughout the week. But I've had people tell me that they enjoy Silver Falls so far. They enjoy the lore, and they enjoy putting the pieces together. And to me, it makes me feel like all of this hard work will be worth it, and people are enjoying it. I personally enjoy exploring characters' lives when I watch a TV show or I see a series of movies or games. And I've always wished, man, I wish I could get more into it. I want to be able to see more about this one character in the background. Sometimes I watch an anime, and there's just like one character that's a support character that's got an awesome power, cool story to them. and you barely see that character, and you never get to explore that character. And so with Silver Falls, I want players to be able to explore all of these small minor characters in the background at their own pace. And if you're not interested in that character, then hey, ignore that game. You're not forced to have to spend time with any character that you don't like. And I want to be able to keep coming up with different game ideas, and some of them might seem out of left field, because these first few games, they're all like sort of horror themed, and they're, in a way, they're survival horror, and they're quite consistent in that regard. But games coming after that, they may not be horror games, they may not be survival games, they're going to be some different genres. But my main intention is to create a game franchise that you won't get bored with, because I'm always going to have something new for you to explore, and a new way to explore that. And I want later games in the series, I don't want to feel like I'm desperately trying to come up with a way to make it interesting, and I don't want the games to feel disconnected by having 4 or 5 games that are survival horror, and then all of a sudden I make like a kart racing game or a fishing game, and you're like, what the heck is this? I want you to know off the bat, we're going to be covering all sorts of genres. It doesn't matter if it seems ridiculous or outlandish. The core intention of that game is to let you explore more about the story and the characters, and to add content to other games in an interesting way. I guess I got kind of long-winded there, and I'm kind of just talking and talking and talking now because I've been staring at my computer for what feels like 200 hours nonstop, and it's slowly chipping away at my sanity. But I guess that's what it takes to make Silver Falls. So I just wanted to thank everyone from the bottom of my heart. Thank you guys. You're making this worth it. You guys are making all of this hard work worth it, and all the sacrifice and the hours that I have to put in to make this work. You guys make it worth it. You guys make the series work, and I want to thank you so much. I'm sorry that I haven't replied to everyone who have left messages. I'll try to get back to you as soon as I can, as soon as I get this update rolled out. But every second of my life is dictated by getting 3 Down Stars in the state that it needs to be, and getting the next games ready to publish. Thank you guys so much. I really appreciate you spending time with us on social media and engaging with us and letting us know what you think. I really hope you're enjoying Silver Falls. I'm putting a crazy amount of work into it, and I will not give up. I will not stop. I'll keep making it work. Thank you. I'll see you in Silver Falls.